When it comes to Naruto characters, Danzo is one of those characters where most of the fandom tends to come to the consensus that Danzo was the personification of evil, and they can't really name more than a handful of redeeming qualities for his character. Whether or not that stance of the majority of Naruto fans is true or not is not going to be up for discussion in this video, but one thing I do think that all of us will agree upon is the fact that Danzo, in his quest to overthrow both the third Hokage and the fifth Hokage, made some rather questionable decisions along the way that make you turn a side eye to the morally gray area that the character operated under in his guise to do what he felt was the best thing to protect the village and the future of the village. That's why in today's newest Naruto Explained video, we're going to be hopping in our time machines and we're going to go back to that period in time where Danzo almost got Itachi and Shisui killed at the same time. Now, you might hear a statement like that and go, sure, he tried to get them killed, and think that I'm referring to Danzo pushing Shisui to a point that he jumped off a cliff after giving Itachi his eye, and Danzo trying to double cross Itachi after the events of the Uchiha massacre by having Anbu Black Ops appear at his side to try and kill him in, I believe, Naruto Shippuden episode 455, but that's not what I'm referring to. As I said, he almost got the two of them killed at the same time simultaneously, and it was a win-win situation for Danzo should this ended up being something that killed Itachi and Shisui. During this period in time, Itachi was a rising upstart in Konoha as a shinobi with multiple people inside the village acknowledging his skill as a shinobi and coming to the conclusion that Itachi might do the one thing that nobody thought was possible, which is become the very first Uchiha to ever become Hokage. Shisui, on the other hand, was quickly earning the reputation around the ninja world as Shisui the Body Flicker, or Shisui the Teleporter if you go by the Viz Media translation, and Shisui was striking fear into the hearts of shinobi everywhere in a way not seen since Minato earned that do not engage order in the third ninja war. In Naruto Shippuden filler, we see a scene that Al refers to in the manga where he says he previously encountered Shisui in the past, and in that scene, Shisui is shown moving fast enough that sensory ninjas couldn't actually track him, and when they did realize that he was there, they decided to run away instead of fighting him. So how exactly did Danzo almost get these two killed? Well, we learn in the Itachi Shinden story of Daylight, which covers the early years of Itachi Uchiha's life from the time just before the events of the Nine Tails incident up until the moment that Itachi is being tested to join the Anbu Black Ops. During this time, an 11-year-old Itachi is out having a lunch date with Izumi Uchiha, his lover, who he would go on to kill during the massacre, when he's suddenly summoned to Danzo's office to be given a mission that would be needed in order for him to join the Anbu Black Ops, once selected by Danzo as part of the condition by the third Hokage for allowing Itachi to join. Due to the third Hokage being uncertain if Itachi was too young to be allowed to join the Anbu Black Ops, the mission was to assassinate a descendant of the Hyuga clan, a man who went by the name of Mukai, who is confirmed to have committed one of the greatest acts of treason that anyone could do inside the Hidden Leaf village. He was selling vital information to the Hidden Mist village in order to pay for his son's medical bill, which at the time the Hidden Mist village was led by the third Mizukage, the perfect Jinchuriki of the Three Tails. Danzo debriefs Itachi on the mission and tells Itachi that he is allowed to take one other person with him as backup, with the expectation being that Fugaku will likely be chosen, but Itachi shocks Danzo by choosing Shisui as his backup. A big part of the reason for this is that Shisui, due to having been a shinobi longer than Itachi, already had vital intel on Mukai due to having gone on missions with him in the past. Yet despite Itachi's reason for having Shisui assigned as his two-man team, Danzo throws Itachi a bone by having one of Mukai's unsuspecting teammates get into a rather suspicious and extremely nasty accident that results in them meeting a rather gruesome end, which leads to Itachi being assigned as a fill-in on Mukai's team. Danzo does this because he wants Itachi to see firsthand the type of shinobi he's about to be trying to kill, because in Danzo's opinion, Itachi being told how Mukai fights isn't the same thing as Itachi literally seeing for himself how skilled of a ninja he's trying to assassinate is. Itachi and Mukai go on a mission to watch the negotiation between the Sand Village and the Mist Village in their plans for forming an alliance, but upon being discovered by 20 high-level Sand shinobi, but when Itachi starts to engage in battle, he's ordered to stand back due to Mukai's rather brutal fighting style. Mukai was only part Hyuga. His family was kicked out of the Hyuga clan because there was a worry that his family had had diluted the bloodline too much by marrying outside the clan, and the Byakugan gene would be lost due to how much outbreeding they had done. But Mukai did possess enough of the gene to awaken the Byakugan in one eye, which he hid from anyone he didn't trust, and despite not being taught the movements for the gentle fist fighting style, like rotation and the 8 trigrams, Mukai basically pulled a Neji and he learned the hidden jutsu of the clan's main branch and utilized it in a brutal fashion. During this encounter, Mukai chose to sit and wait for the Sand Shinobi chasing after them by sitting there drinking sake to get drunk and smoke cigarettes to calm his nerves, and when they approached him, he cuts on his Byakugan and he destroys them in a brutal fashion. With a single strike, he's shown shutting down all the chakra points of his target, but unlike Himawari, who knocked Naruto out stone cold in one strike, Mukai's enemies, some of them remain conscious, but on occasion he was able to kill several of those shinobi with a single strike, just like how Hinata's father did when he killed the head cloud ninja that tried to kidnap Hinata in Naruto Part 1. The others, they weren't so lucky. The way that he used aspects of his gentle fist fighting style, he was able to plunge his bare hands into their chests to rip out their lungs and then rip out their intestines when he punched a hole in their stomach, and the guy took pleasure in the gruesome way that he fought against people. As Itachi watched the fight with his Sharingan, as 20 shinobi fell in only a matter of moments, many of them dying after only one hit, Itachi came to the conclusion that Mukai was too great of a threat to oppose with taijutsu, and his best way to assassinate him might have been long range or genjutsu. However, unbeknownst to Itachi, Mukai was shown being able to use the gentle fist to split a fireball jutsu and other chakra based attacks in half, eliminating the fact that he was not a skilled long range fighter. Upon seeing Mukai's fighting style, he begins to ask his father for advice on dealing with such a brutal Hyuga, but after Itachi is told by Fugaku how important his mission is to join the Anbu Black Ops, Itachi realizes that the Uchiha are planning to overthrow the village, and he doesn't ask his father for advice, but instead chooses to strategize with Shisui, going so far as to directly turn down Fugaku's offer to accompany Itachi to deal with the Mukai fight because Fugaku was certain he could defeat Mukai. Itachi tells him, "Go to Sasuke's academy entrance ceremony, I can handle this on my own." This carries over into the next chapter of the story, the Itachi Shinin story of Midnight, which covers Itachi's life from this mission with Mukai all the way up until Itachi joining the Akatsuki. When Itachi and Shisui try to jump Mukai, they try to use a strategy that is pretty familiar to Itachi fans, which is using distractions in order to allow Itachi to place Mukai under genjutsu, but it backfires in a major way. Mukai's taijutsu was more intense than Itachi ever realized, with Shisui being unable to land a single hit against Mukai, despite Mukai having a shadow clone being used to spend time with his son who was sick, which means Mukai was only using 50% of his chakra, and after dispelling the shadow clone to get his chakra back, Mukai is able to overwhelm Itachi and Shisui at one point, grabbing Shisui by the neck mid-speed blitz, and in the process, he starts using the 8 trigram 64 palms in order to shut down Itachi's chakra points, but Shisui finally steps in midway through the attack and he cuts on his Mangekyo Sharingan with the intention of placing Mukai under genjutsu, but Mukai, upon realizing that he was trapped inside of a genjutsu, he doesn't mold chakra with the intention of disrupting it to break out of it, because he realizes very quickly that Shisui's Mangekyo Sharingan genjutsu is too strong to overpower via those methods, so the guy instead busts out a kunai that he summons and he slices open his stomach in order to commit suicide, which then forces Shisui to drop the genjutsu, and Mukai confesses to his crimes with the hopes of having his family spared of the crimes that he had by betraying the village, and he hopes that his son can get the medical treatment he needs in order to stay alive and not be punished. During this battle, Itachi and Shisui, despite being the two biggest prodigies of the Hidden Leaf Village they'd ever seen, they were almost killed more than once in the fight, and you have to think it was something that Danzo anticipated happening, but he wouldn't have been upset and lost sleep over it if it did take place. While Danzo had already planned to use Itachi to massacre the clan at this point, he just didn't know how he would use Itachi. Danzo wouldn't have been opposed to weakening the Uchiha clan by having the two strongest members of the clan taken out before either of them could reach their prime, just on the off chance that either of them did take the side of the Uchiha clan, choosing loyalty to the clan over loyalty to the village. It would also be during this time that Danzo would be made aware of Shisui having the Mangekyo Sharingan, Sharingan due to one of the Anbu watching the fight and seeing Shisui use Mangekyo. During this time, Shisui was making a name for himself with Genjutsu, but like Mukai, Shisui kept the existence of his Mangekyo Sharingan a secret up until this moment, opting not to use it unless it was absolutely necessary. While this wasn't Danzo intentionally sending the two of them out so he could have them killed, this was also Danzo attempting to have his cake and eat it too. If Itachi passed the mission and he killed Mukai, then he'd have Itachi in the Anbu Black Ops and he can begin molding him into the shinobi Danzo wanted in order to use him to massacre the Uchiha. And if Itachi failed, then the Uchiha clan would be weakened by having Itachi and Shisui, the two prodigies who at the time were being projected by Danzo to quickly be en route to surpassing Fugaku in power. He'd have these two prodigies killed, and so it'd be a win-win regardless of the outcome. Unfortunately, this event was not animated into Naruto Shippuden when they adapted the Itachi Shinden story of Daylight and Shinden story of Midnight, so you didn't actually see this, but I still want to cover this scene in detail. Let me know what you guys think about Danzo here. Which outcome do you think was more favorable for Danzo? Would it be Itachi and Shisui being killed, or was it Itachi killing Mukai in order to get the outcome that he wanted? And the second question is, had Itachi and Shisui been killed in this moment, how do you think the Uchiha clan would have reacted?